Hey guys, how's it going? Hope everybody's doing well out there today. In this video, we're going to take a look at a piece of automation software called ActivePieces that was brought to my attention over in Discord by a user named Craig. If you're not part of the Discord, you should check it out. We've got links probably in this video description, but definitely on my YouTube page and just all over the place. It's easy to find if you know where to look. But yeah, so basically the idea behind ActivePieces is that you can kind of self-host an automation platform, kind of like Zapier or something like that, but again, self-hosted so that you don't have to rely on a third-party service to host your application. Now, with that said, there will be third-party integrations that we're going to use to get more out of this. You know, we're going to look at using a webhook URL system called Ngrok. We're also going to take a look at some OpenAI stuff for integration, that kind of thing. So that's the plan for this video. If that's not interesting to you, that's perfectly fine. This is only something that I've recently started to get into. So if you're not there yet, that's fine. I've got lots of other videos that you can go watch. But I think with that little introduction out of the way, let's jump over to my desktop and take a look at ActivePieces. Okay, so here we are, we're on my desktop, and this is the ActivePieces website, and it just says automate your marketing, sales, and operations, and basically I'm using it for marketing, sort of kind of social media presence, is also a form of marketing depending on how you look at it. So that's what I'm using it for. That's what I'm gonna show mostly in this video. But here they've got just kind of a nice little demo of the steps to go through and set up a flow, is what they call them. They're setting up a Twitter bot like every hour, ask ChatGPT to create a question or a statement or something like that. That's what's going on here. And then once it's done that, then it's going to take the data that it gets from ChatGPT's response, and then it's going to put it in a Twitter post or a tweet or an X or whatever they're calling it these days, right? And it's very straightforward. It's just click, 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 click. Once you've got all of your different assets attached to it, whether it's Twitter or Discord or ChatGPT or OpenAI or whatever the case is, there's a bunch of them in here. In fact, if we come over to the Pieces tab, there's currently 136 pieces available, basically integrations. So we scroll down, we can click on load more. In fact, let's go up. So we've got like active bots. You can create your own little chat bot. You know, you can connect with API Table or Amazon or Binance or Calendly, all kinds of different stuff in here, Dropbox, GitHub, Google Calendar, all kinds of stuff in here that you can connect with. We're not going to go through all of those. Of course, I like to share the kind of the basics and let you guys explore from there. But there are a bunch of different things that you can integrate with to create automations and that sort of thing. So of course, we come over here to prices, right? There's a cloud version that you could do that's free for the pro, or you can do like the platform or the enterprise, or the reason you're here is for the on-premises stuff. Now this does say one user plus $5 per user per month. I've only got one user set up on mine. I actually haven't added a second user because I don't have any need for that. They've also got some features down here, show all features. Here we go. So it's an intuitive builder. It's 100 pieces to use in your automations, countless templates to start with. I think they've been counted, I promise. But you can do loops and branches to add your own logic flows. I haven't done any of that yet, but I'm sure I will. You can do transparent logs to debug. We'll take a look at that as well, so you can kind of see when something has happened and where it might have gone wrong. And then you can always write your own code. I haven't done that either. I think that's interesting. There's a community edition. They're open source. You can view that on GitHub. And of course, right here, you can dig through all of this. And like it says up here, this is basically an enterprise automation tool, chatbot, Zapier alternative, and I think that's kind of cool. What I want to do though is actually jump over to my instance, the instance I'm actually using presently, so that we can kind of take just a quick look through some of that, and so you can kind of get an idea of how my brain worked as I was setting up some of these flows, and maybe you guys have got ideas how to make them better. So this is my in production automation system that I've got put together with ActivePieces. Most of this is just me playing around, trying some different things with AI, because that's still, I've only really recently gotten into that. But I'm enjoying it. But really the reason I wanted to do this was for this right here, where I post YouTube videos. Basically what would happen is I would create my video and I would upload it to YouTube, and then I would go over to this third-party solution. I'm not gonna name names here, but I would go over, I've tested a few of them. Anyway, I'd go over and I would say, hey, here's the title, here's, you know, or here's what I want the tweet to say. Here's what I want the Mastodon post to say. This is what I want the Facebook post to say. This is what I want the Discord post to say. And each one of those would be different. And then I would have to upload have to put in the title of the video and the URL of the video and upload the thumbnail of the video and then schedule that out. Then if I want to remind myself or put out a reminder post later, then I've got to go through and duplicate all of that, move things around. And it just got to be really time consuming and I would often screw things up and I absolutely hated going through that process. So that's why I've done this. So let's jump back over here. So now I've got this post YouTube video. That's just what I called it. So it says basically, when you detect a new video has been published on my YouTube channel, and it's going to check every 5 minutes, it's going to create a tweet, a Mastodon post, and a Discord post. Then it's going to wait for a certain period of time. I've dictated 7 hours, and then it's going to post again like, hey, have you checked out my new video about this? If not, you should, right? For both Twitter and for Mastodon. And so basically, this is how it works, right? We're going to come over here. We're going to open this up. I'm going to drag all this way over. So anytime it detects a new video in the channel, and it's just my channel ID, so I didn't have to attach my YouTube channel or my Google account or anything to this in order for it to detect a new video. It just checks like every 5 minutes. So anytime on this channel, it detects a video, then it's going to create a tweet. And then the action is create tweet, and that's it. My connection is Twitter. You can add multiple connections here. However, I'm only posting to the one Twitter account, so I've just named it Twitter. But basically on Twitter, it's gonna be like, new video, here's the title. Check it out, let me know what you think. And then here is the link of that video. And then there's also an option here to add media. So that would be the thumbnail of the video. So when it detects the video, it's going to post on Twitter this with the image. So it'll be the new video title, link, image. Very simple, but it's going to do that automatically once it detects the video has gone live. It's also going to post on Mastodon, again, post a status on my Mastodon connection, a new YouTube video. Here's the title, here's the image, because there is no media option in here like there was over on Twitter. So I've just like, hey, put the title or the thumbnail there, and then check it out. Let me know what you think. And then there is the link to that video, right? Very, very straightforward. Then we're going to do the same, basically the same thing. Over on Discord, again, send a message, webhook. You can do this a few different ways, but I'm doing it as a webhook. There's the webhook URL. I'll probably want to blur that. The message will be the title of the video and the link to the video. I should probably do something like that. Then I've got a content bot. That's just what I named it. So when something gets posted by this automation, the name will show up as content bot, and then it will have a little icon. So it looks like a user, but it's a bot, and it gets recognized as a bot by the system. So once it's done all of this, then it's going to delay for 7 hours, but you could do seconds, minutes, or days. But for 7 hours, it's just going to hang out. It's not going to do anything. But after 7 hours is up, then it's going to create another tweet, which is basically, hey, don't forget to check out the new video. Here's the title. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Here's the link. And then again, here's that image. Same thing over here. Don't forget to check out the new YouTube video title. Let me know what you think. And the actual link to that. So that's kind of how I got into this, wanting to self-host my own automation solution to help me streamline my my posting. When I release a video, I want it to get published everywhere I want it to get published without having to think about it. And that's really where I've been struggling is being more engaged and engaging really on social media, right? It's posting YouTube videos is one thing. Doing live streams is obviously another step. Those are coming back this weekend. I'm going to ask you to hold me accountable to that. Saturday, 1 p.m. GMT minus 6 or 7, Denver time, if you want to look that up. Anyway, but making sure that you're consistent and that sort of thing, posting things regularly. And this is one step. The posting of these videos automatically is one step to get me closer to that goal of posting regularly. Now, with that said, if you've been following me on Mastodon or on Twitter the last few days, you'll notice that I've been posting a bunch of jokes that kind of have a theme to them. And I actually did that with AI as well. So let's take a look at that. So the first thing I did was I decided that I wanted to have it post jokes over on Mastodon and Discord and Twitter. So basically I've got a cron expression here that just says basically, every 4 hours, do this, right? That's all we're doing here is saying every 4 hours, I want you to post something. Every 4 hours, it's going to go to ChatGPT, which again, I've connected to my OpenAI account. I'm using ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo 16. There are other options in here. This is just what I'm using here because it's effective and it's not as expensive as GPT-4 is currently. Below that, it says, write a funny Twitter post about self-hosting a Docker application. Please do not put quotes around the post. Please keep it less than 250 characters for Twitter. Next, we've got some different things like temperature. Basically, here it says controls randomness, lowering the results in less random completions. After the temperature approaches zero, as the temperature approaches zero, the model will become deterministic and repetitive. So you want this number to be as big as you can for the most random results, but you can't go to more than one. Then you can decide how many tokens do you want to use for your input and output. Requests can use up to 2,048 tokens. That's for the input and for the output. And that's where they're getting the second number of 4,096 tokens. So a full transaction could be 4,096 tokens. I've told it to use up to 1,500 tokens to generate this question or this prompt up here. You can set this as high as you want. Just understand that the tokens cost money. We've also got top P, which is an alternative sampling to temperature. I haven't played with it. I haven't done anything with it, so I don't want to say anything about it that might be wrong. Next, we've got frequency penalty, numbers between -2 and +2. Positive values penalize new tokens based on their existing frequency in the text so far, decreasing the model's likelihood to repeat itself, basically. So I've set that to 2, and then the present penalty I've set to -1. Basically, positive values penalize tokens based on whether they appear in the text so far. So by turning that to -1, I think I've got a better solution to get more random stuff in my tweets. Don't quote me on those two numbers though. These are numbers that I'm still playing with to find what I want to do, or like how varied I can make each of these individual posts. Below that, we've got some roles, and we're saying, hey, system role, you're a helpful assistant that speaks like Marvin, the paranoid android from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That part's implied. It picked it up immediately. I didn't even have to put that part in. And then once it has gone through and done this, basically what we can do next is say, okay, well, let's test this and see, based on the criteria that I've given it, what kind of a result I'm going to get. So we're going to give this a second to do its thing. Decided to self-host a Docker app because nothing says fun like managing containers, troubleshooting network issues, and developing a paranoid fear of updates breaking everything. And it's got a little goofy face, and self-hosting and Docker life as hashtags. I think that's great. So once it has fulfilled its question by generating the data, then we're going to come over here to Mastodon, and we're going to post a status to Mastodon. Again, that's a connection that I've made. And the status is just going to be whatever the response was from ChatGPT here. So if I wanted to, I could click retest and it would post that, and then it would be like, hey, it would give you a status here saying it was either true or it either worked or it didn't. It would tell you if it didn't work right down here. It did, so we're good. Same thing with Discord, saying, hey, it was a success, we're good, whatever. Same thing with Twitter. Basically, once it's generated the response that I've asked it for, then it will go post those on those 3 different platforms. So of course, that's just to post funny stuff on social media periodically, every 4 hours or so, just so that I'm periodically posting new things to create some engagement, to create some awareness, to let people know that yes, I'm still here, even though am I playing video games in the other room, right? This is kind of a little hack that I'm doing just to try things out and see how things are going. I will say though, since I've started doing this over the last couple of days, my engagement over on Mastodon especially has been much, much higher. It's gone up a bit over on Twitter or X or whatever they're calling it now. But because I'm not a paid member over there, I'm not getting quite the engagement I might otherwise get. So posting funny stuff is of course a good way to get people to pay attention. But there's also other ways that you can get engagement on social media. So come back over to my platform here, and we take a look like at engaging questions test. This is me testing some stuff out, right? Same thing every day at 8 a.m. And this time it does matter because I'm like 8 a.m. my time. I want you to ask ChatGPT, let's bring this over. Please write a tweet asking in your own words what my tech enthusiast, Docker-loving, self-hosting followers are working on and what their biggest obstacles are. Do not wrap the post in quotes. The post should be no longer than 250 characters to fit on Twitter. Also, each time you do this, a different question should be asked. I try to be very granular with that so that it wouldn't keep asking the same questions, or that it would ask things a little bit differently. Again, the temperature is 1. We talked about temperature and tokens and that sort of thing. I should probably set that to -2 again, just so that we get some more variation. We'll try it out, see what happens. So let's bring this up now. And you're also a helpful assistant, right? Let's see. Who knows a lot about Docker and self-hosting and wants to help as many people as possible, right? So now that we've given it a role, we've given it kind of how it should be responding, let's retest and see what kind of sample data we get from this. Calling all tech enthusiasts, what exciting projects are you working on in the world of Docker and self-hosting? And what's your toughest challenge so far? Share your experience and let's troubleshoot together. Hashtag Docker, self-hosting, and tech obstacles. So now we've got a new post that we can go to, right? And we can go to Twitter and basically create a tweet on Twitter with the prompt or the response to the prompt that we got over here. The media, we could put an image there if we wanted to, and that's basically it. It's just going to post that the response that it got down here, this output down here. Same thing over here on Mastodon, and it will also tell you like, hey, did it work or not? And if it didn't, then it'll throw an error and it will let you know. So this is what I've been working on, kind of getting familiar with over the last couple of days, primarily getting more familiar with the AI stuff, learning how to talk to AI bots and that sort of thing to get the results that I'm looking for when I ask it questions. Let me know in the comments if you've got suggestions that would make this process easier for me to get better results. I'd love to know what you guys think about this. There's also one other thing that I wanted to show in here. So we're gonna come back over to my desktop, obviously, and if we come over here to where it says run, basically, here it shows all of the stuff that has been happening, all of the different posts that it has made, all of the different jokes and whatever, right? So it's going to show me 10. I'm going to ask it to show me 20. Now, at 4 o'clock this morning, something timed out on Twitter. And then if I come over a little farther, it looks like all of this ran fine. We had a Marvin joke right here that failed. Let's keep scrolling. There was an outage. Here it is. So there was an outage on OpenAI ChatGPT yesterday, right? So if I open this up, it will actually show me where the failure was. And it says it failed right there on Ask ChatGPT. Let's actually go back to the one this morning on Twitter that timed out. There it was, right there. Run exceeded 600 seconds, try to optimize your steps. So I guess it kind of did give me a bit of information there. But I love that it will actually go through and tell you like, hey, there was an issue with this platform or that platform, or you just need to do better, right? Let's take a look at this one. Run failed again on ChatGPT. They've been having some outages the last couple of days. So I'm actually glad to see that the platform will tell me where the error was. Was it on my end? Was it on their end? Was it on Twitter's end? Where was the problem so that you can actually do a better job of troubleshooting rather than just saying, hey, the thing didn't post, and then expecting you to go look through logs and that sort of thing. Having the ability to look at these runs, basically the logs of these different runs, and saying, oh, well, it was AI. There's nothing I can do about that. That sucks, but it wasn't my fault. It wasn't on my end. It kind of gives a bit of relief knowing that the error was somewhere else and not in your own control. So one other thing that I want to touch on just real quickly with regards to the AI stuff is that in order to get it to work, you will need to connect to an OpenAI account. And of course, you will need to throw some money at that unless you've got a credit or something like that. So let's jump over back to my desktop here. And here we can see over the last 3 days, I've spent 9 cents. So we're not talking about huge amounts of money here, but over the course of the last 3 days, me testing this, trying a bunch of different stuff, posting every few hours on Twitter and that sort of thing. The Twitter posts and the actual posting doesn't count towards anything. It's just generating the prompts, right? Or getting the responses from those generated prompts. So yesterday, I guess was it this morning? I don't remember. What's today? The 9th? Yeah. So this morning I started using ChatGPT 4, and that's where 3 cents of this 9 cents came from, was using ChatGPT 4 Turbo. Everything else has been ChatGPT 3.5 Turbo, and it was 2 cents the first day. It was less than a cent yesterday, and only 2 cents so far today. So we're not talking about huge amounts of money, but I want to be very clear that there will be fees associated with using ChatGPT for your integrations. So that was kind of a long introduction and demonstration of how I'm using it and some other stuff that I've done with it to try things out and that sort of thing. So what I want to do now is talk about getting ActivePieces installed on a server. You really want to make sure that you've got some resources available to it. Now I tried, and Craig that I mentioned earlier, who introduced me to this platform, We've both tried running it in a Proxmox container, and it just will not work that way. It needs to be either dedicated bare metal hardware, or you can run it in a virtual machine, and that's what I'm going to do. But you'll need to make sure that whichever of those you're using has Docker and Docker Compose installed. And it's fairly straightforward. Like, I'm going to spin up a virtual machine here real quick. I'm just going to I'm going to record everything that I'm doing, and I'm going to slow it down, or I'm going to speed it up so that it is a shorter thing so you can kind of see the stuff that I'm doing. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a VM. I'm going to put a Ubuntu server on it. I'm going to install Docker and Docker Compose and make sure that we've got Git and that sort of thing on there as well. And then we're going to clone a repository and get this installed. Install OpenSSH Server. Yes, you want to do this so that you can do this more easily. You definitely want OpenSSH Server installed. So go ahead and do that. Now, there is an option in here to install Docker, but I don't want to do it this way. I actually want to go through and install it manually because I'm neurotic like that. So I'm not going to install it this way. I'm not going to install any of this stuff. I'm just going to go down there and say done. And this part will take a while. It's going to say installing system, and then up here at the top, it's going to say like installing system done, reboot or whatever. But down here at the bottom, it's going to be like, it's updating. Wait. Okay, and this is what I was talking about, where it's like, hey, the install is complete right there. But it's like, hey, we're updating. So do you want to cancel that and reboot, or what do you want to do? So what we're going to do is we're just going to wait for this to fully complete. And then once that's done, then we'll reboot and we'll get Docker and Docker Compose installed. Okay, so now it says we can reboot. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so now we're ready to log in. So we'll do that. And I just want to make sure that I have the right IP address. I do. It's right there. It's 213. Basically, what this is going to do is just let us SSH into our server, into our VM, rather, our Ubuntu server VM. And this is just going to make it easier to copy and paste the commands that we're going to use to install Docker and Docker Compose. And then for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to do sudo su, just so I don't have to enter my password every time. Cool. Now I am acting as root. So now I'm going to run some commands to get Docker installed and to get Docker Compose installed. And then we're going to clone the repository and get ActivePieces installed. Okay, so that was quick and easy, just a few commands. Again, all of that will be linked in the description down below. But now we have Docker running and we have Docker Compose running. So now let's actually make sure. Git. Okay, Git is installed. If it didn't, it would have thrown a different error. So now what we want to do is clone the GitHub repository for this. And in fact, here are the instructions for installing all of ActivePieces on your system. Again, links in the description if you want to follow along. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this down. First thing we're going to do, like I said, is we're going to do a git clone of that repository. Cool. Now we're going to cd into ActivePieces. That's the directory that it just downloaded everything into. Now what we want to do is we're going to run a command that is we're going to use sh to deploy tools/deploy.sh. Before we do that, let's actually take a look at what we're going to be doing here. So let's do an ls-a. So what that tools .sh or the deploy or whatever it was .sh file is going to do is it's going to modify this .env.example file right here. So before we do that, let's take a look at that file. So we're going to do nano or vi, whatever your preference is, .env.example. So this is the .env.example file, and what that .sh file we talked about a moment ago is going to do is fill in some of these blanks for us, right? Like the API key, it's going to fill that in. The encryption key, the JW secret key, and the Postgres password are all going to get filled in by that script. It's also going to rename the .env.example to .env. So let's go ahead and let's just exit out of this. There's really nothing else in this file. Of course, you can go in and change some of this stuff as you need to, but like the runtime earlier, we saw that there was an issue where it ran for more than 600 seconds. That's where that was declared. So all of this can be manipulated as necessary. What we're going to do, though, is do a control X, and we're just going to paste in sh.tools/deploy.sh and hit enter. And an env file containing random passwords and secrets has been successfully generated. So if I do an ls-a again, so I guess that .env.example file is still there, but now we have a .env file. Do nano.env And right there is all of the stuff that that it generated, like the API key, the encryption key, the secret, the password, all of that is there. Now, there is one more thing in here that we're going to need to edit at some point when we get there, which is actually going to happen here really quickly. But it's going to be this AP front end URL. This isn't necessarily the URL that you're going to use to access your ActivePieces installation. This is more of a webhook URL, and we're going to end up installing another service called Ngrok, and we're going to use their service as kind of a tunnel that works for this. It's what the developers actually recommend. So we've done this, and we've done this, and we've done this. Next, we're going to do this, right? To bring everything up, but eventually we're going to want to install Ngrok, and we're also going to want to get an Ngrok account so that we can have longer session time. And what I mean by longer session times is if you just deploy this as it is, or use just their very basic script without an account, your tunnels are going to be limited to like 2 hours a piece, which might be good for some things, but not when you're trying to do kind of a set it and forget it automation thing. You're definitely going to want to have an account so that it can have that webhook kind of endpoint to work with. So now that we've looked at this again, I'm going to do Control X, right? I'm going to do apt, I think I can do it this way, apt install Ngrok. No, we're going to do snap install Ngrok. And this way we'll just have the service running in the background. That's all we're doing there. Okay, so we've got Ngrok installed, and what we want to do next is actually come over to Ngrok's website. We're going to sign up. Okay, so now that we've got our Ngrok account created and verified and multi-factor authenticated and the whole bit, it's going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to, I'm a developer building for fun. I will use Ngrok to access software on my own network and for myself. Right? Of course, your answers to that may vary, but that's how I'm going to answer this. I'm going to click continue. And here we are. Now we've got, you can get started by claiming your static free domain and say goodbye to random URLs forever. Cool, let's do that. Let's create a domain. And right there is my, my domain. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So then I'm going to I'm going to take this, this following command, this Ngrok command there, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to paste that in, and I'm going to hit enter. Uh-oh. Oh, I haven't installed my server token yet, so let's do that. Or auth token. All right, so we need to add this first. I got ahead of myself, so let's copy that. We'll do that. Cool, now that's been saved. Now, let's try adding that domain again. And there we go. Now, our status is online, our plan is free, available update. Our version, all of this is here, including this forwarding URL. Now, this URL right here is what we actually need. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna log back into my server. Oh, and I'm gonna do, we're gonna do cd into ActivePieces, and then we're gonna do nano.env. It was read only, so I need to fix that by being root. Okay. Now that's fine. Now it's saying, hey, this isn't writable. That's fine. I don't want it to be writable. I just wanted to make sure that everything there was correct. Okay, so we actually did a couple of those things out of order. Like at first it was like, hey, bring everything up and then do the Ngrok thing. I don't want to do it that way. I like to get the Ngrok thing done just so that all of the little fiddly bits are out of the way. So when I deploy this, I can just jump in and start using my service. So let's jump back over to my desktop and take a look at getting ActivePieces deployed. Okay, so in order to bring this up, we're going to run this command right here, but they missed something and it bothers me. And it's not a big deal, but it bothers me. I'm gonna do up, they didn't add the -d. The -d really only matters because if I don't have that there and I deploy this and I close this terminal window, it's going to shut down all of those containers. Now, I don't think it's going to affect the Ngrok stuff because we actually installed that as a service and attached our URL to it, so it shouldn't matter there. But when we're deploying a Docker Compose this way, the -d is important because, again, if you don't have it and you close the terminal window, it's going to shut down all of those different containers. So let's go ahead. So at this point, it's just a matter of waiting for all of this to deploy. If there's an error, it will tell you what the error is. If there's not, everything will get created and everything will be fine, and then we can move on. So we're just going to hang out, give this a couple of minutes to do its thing, and then we'll come back and take a look at what our next steps are. And really, all things considered, that didn't really take all that long. So if we do Docker PS, there we go. We can see that everything is up and running, everything is working. And if we scroll this over, oops, we're on port 8080 there, it looks like. So here we are. Now we're on our homepage here. Now, if you wanted to, you could absolutely set this up on a reverse proxy or a Cloudflare tunnel or whatever you wanted to do if you wanted access to this from outside your home. After talking to one of the developers, he said that might be something you would want to do depending on what kind of things you're doing with your runs, with your automation processes, things like that. I don't know that it's always necessary, but he said that it may actually help in certain circumstances. So let's go and get our account created, and you can receive updates if you want. I'm not gonna, but I'm gonna click sign up. Here we are. This is when you first log in, this is what you're gonna see. You can either do a demo, which I had some issues with, or you can build your own. So let's do that. Let's build our own. And we're just gonna do a quick, simple one just for demonstrative purposes here. Let's start from scratch. And let's say, let's say on a schedule, right? We're gonna do this, we're gonna select a trigger. We're gonna say once an hour. You can also say, do you want it to run on weekends or not? You can turn that on and off. We're gonna say, I want you to, let's do a ChatGPT thing here, right? Like so. And then we're going to ask ChatGPT something, or we can transcribe audio or translate audio. We're gonna ask him something. Our connection, we're going to do new connection, and our API key. Now, in order to get an API key, of course, you're going to need an OpenAI account, right? So let's go take care of that. So I'm logged into my account. What I want to do is go to settings. Is it under settings? No, it's under API keys, dum-dum. We're going to create a new secret key. This is, we're going to call this tut key so that I remember to delete it later, right? And right there is my key, and I've copied it. I'm going to paste that in there. We're going to click save. Cool. Wait. Connection. Now we're going to select that. Okay, and now based on that information, it's going to ask us which version we want to use of this. Now again, you can just type in like GPT, and it will give you different options. Again, I'm just going to use the turbo because that's what I want to do. So now we need a question. Why is the world ask thinking like a scientist, tell me some of the things we might be able, tell me, no, I want to do something we might be able to do to make the water cleaner. Sure, why not? The temperature, again, we're gonna do 1 on that. I recommend you trying out some different things here. We're gonna say 1500 tokens. Frequency penalty, let's do 2, and, -2. Oops, not 0.2, -2. Oops. And then let's actually drag this over. I really should have brought this over. All right. You are a helpful assistant who specializes in science. You have lots of knowledge about how to make things better. Right. So once we've got that typed in, and of course, I'm just messing around here, you can click Test Setup. And let's drag this up. Okay, so that was very long. I wasn't expecting anything quite that long. Tell me something. Tell me. Sure, why not? Because this was lots of ideas. I only want one idea, so we're gonna retest that. Maybe we'll just get a better single idea. Okay, so now we've got this idea here, right? So let's say now we want to, maybe we want to share this to Discord. So we're going to do this. We're going to type in Discord. Close enough. There we go. Select an action. We're going to send a message webhook, right? Of course, there are other things in here we could do, but really we just want to do this. We're going to do a webhook URL. So to get that webhook URL, here we are. We're in my Discord. What I'm going to do is go to my testing warzone. I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to Add Channel. I'm going to go to Integrations. Then I'm going to go to Webhooks. I'm going to create a new webhook, and it's always called Captain Hook for some reason. I'm going to call this AP Tut. and I'm going to copy and I'm going to save and I'm going to close this. And then our webhook URL is going to go right there. Our message is, we're just going to come down here. We're going to click insert. That's the Ask ChatGPT thing. That's what we've got right there. So then I'm going to do, name is Clean Water Bot. I'm going to do water drop icon. We'll do that. Right. I'm just going to copy this image. No. I want to copy the image address. That's what I want the URL, the avatar URL to be. And then we're going to test the setup. We're going to open this up. If everything goes well, it should hopefully post something here. And there it is. Now we've got a clean water bot running in our Discord. Now, of course, that's just one example. I kind of walked you through, how I'm using it to post YouTube videos to my social medias and that sort of thing. The setup process for each of those different platforms is going to be similar but different, right? Each one is going to require you to have API keys and secret keys and public keys and all those different things depending on what the platform is. And of course, to get those, you'll need to have an account on those platforms. You may need to have a developer account on those platforms. But I wanted to just kind of run through a quick demonstration on how we can get an automation set up. Now, this automation is going to run once an hour. It's going to ask ChatGPT for an idea on how to clean the water. Once it's got that idea, then it's going to post it to Discord. Of course, I could also post it to Facebook and Twitter and Mastodon and all of these different things. But again, this is just a demonstrative thing here. And I wanted to just kind of take unfortunately, a really long time to walk through what ActivePieces is, how I'm using it, how to deploy it, and then how to set up a simple automation to ask ChatGPT a question, get the response, and then post it somewhere. So I know that you guys are almost always way more creative about these kinds of things than I am. I would love to know what you guys would use something like this for. If you've got samples or things that you'd like to share, of course, you can share that down in the comment section down below. Or what might be even better is come join the Discord where you can actually post a bunch more stuff than YouTube comments will let you do. I'd love to chat with you guys about that. Of course, there are other people here on Discord that would also love to chat with you about that if you're interested. So I think this video has been quite long enough. I hope this kind of gave you an idea of something new that you can try on your home lab. If it did, do me a favor, give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you're interested in self-hosting content, whether it's AI, which is again this is the first video on that on this channel, or you're into other Docker containers and ways to simplify your life and bring all of your stuff in-house like I've done right back here, definitely get subscribed. But I think with all that said, I'm going to wrap this up. I want to thank you for spending a few minutes of your day with me today, and I'll talk to you in the next video.